What if you could help others to find the power to heal themselves? Physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
When I started teaching my classes, it was in 2002, and I was just doing the past life regressions and contacting the subconscious part. But then as the time went on and we found how powerful this was and what we could do with it, a lot of the students began saying, advanced past life regression doesn't really tell what it's all about. This is so much more than that. We think you should change the name. So it was a few years ago we decided to change the name to Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. And this is the healing technique that we've now been teaching since 2002, that's 12 years.
What if you could time travel with them? Visit mythical places or angelic realms, other worlds, other galaxies. Help others to speak to their higher selves. You can. Dolores has taught thousands of people from across the world how to use QHHT, and now you can learn her method by going directly to dolorescannon.com. And don't forget to mention the discount code MORETALKS.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico.
Join the stars of the Ancient Aliens TV show. David Childress will guide you through the evidence left behind and the secrets being guarded from mankind. Have artifacts been left on other planets? Mike Barrow will take you to other worlds and explore the truth about the secret space program and the lies NASA tries to hide. What does the UK government really know about UFOs? Former Ministry of Defense UFO investigator Nick Pope will present the real X-Files. Join Grant Cameron, who will provide detailed disclosure plans the world governments are working to. Or will mankind make contact first through our collective consciousness? One of the world's leading female researchers, Paula Harris, will share incredible testimonies from leading whistleblowers on ET contact and what's next for our world. It's time to believe and raise consciousness. Join like-minded souls on Saturday, June 23, 2018 for Awakening, Boulders Exhibition Centre, Manchester, UK. Awakening. What do you believe?
Hi guys, and welcome to another edition of The More Show. Now I'm about to be joined by my guest, Wieteke Koolhof. Now Wieteke joins me in the UK as I'm currently filming the documentary They Call Us Channelers. Now I also got to interview Wieteke for The More Show. Now just to give you a bit of background on Wieteke, she started having contact with extra-dimensional beings at an early age, and an amazing journey finally transpired as she had conscious contact with her personal guide, Arjun, of the Yahyel. Now Arjun is a fifth dimensional being who functions as a gateway to information from the universe, parallel lives, the higher selves of clients, and information coming from the ET healing team assisting when requested in private sessions. Now Wieteke works from Amsterdam as a life coach, artist and energy worker from a practice called Design for Awareness. The ET channeling, or cosmic healing connection as she calls it, is a powerful permission slip for personal and holistic realignment physically, emotionally and mentally. Well, I hope you enjoy my interview with Wieteke. Alright, well I'm joined here with Wieteke. Now she's come on to my talk show before. That was a number of months ago now. No, last year.
Probably
was it?
a year, yes.
A year ago for a
Yeah.
Skype interview. And it's so much nicer to do these interviews in person. It really is.
Oh, thank you.
Well, it's just such a different experience for the people watching, and definitely for giving the interview as well. It's just, it's, you know, having to do it over Skype is a bit impersonal sometimes, do you know what I mean?
Can be.
With problems and everything else. So I'm so grateful for this interview right now. And I think since I last spoke to you, and obviously I was living in Almere at the time, which is just outside Amsterdam, how much change you've gone through.
Oh, thanks. I guess.
Oh, you have. No, I can see it in you. So for those that want to watch our previous interview, I'm going to link that at the bottom of the description for this video.
Okay.
But yeah, you know, meeting you at the airport, because Wietike's just been with me for a couple of days right now, and she's part of the series of documentaries that I'm making called They Call Us Challers. And thank you so much for being part of this. I really do appreciate you giving your energy. You're someone that, now I've got to know you a bit personally, just with the few days that we've had together. You're very centered, you're very much living your truth. You've grown so much with the work that you're doing, and you're very into, you're spiritually awakened, I would say that. And I'm not trying to put you on a pedestal here. I'm just saying, from the opposite of what I'm about to say here for the people I've met, that you can be awakened. You can be have a psychic gift. You can have be a clairvoyant or a channeler, whatever it may be, clairsentient. But that doesn't mean that you're spiritual.
Oh, wow, interesting statement. Well, thank you, first of all, for having me here, and also for doing your work, and for sharing with people and the people that you put out there, so that others can tune in with that and broaden their perspective. And thank you for what you just said, of course. But spiritual, for me, okay, so my perspective on that is that everything in sense can be spiritual, or can be looked at as spiritual. I mean, also when a person is very much in a process or seemingly lost, okay, so through my eyes observing that, I can still see spirituality in that. Yeah. But how do you mean that? That's maybe
someone that's not even awakened to the way that they're treating people, someone that's not owning up to their own issues, someone that's not wanting to go deeper on things, I suppose, and not wanting to, or this is the way they treat each other as well. Do you know what I mean? When I think you're spiritually awakened, you tend to be different to the way you approach issues. You tend to want to be a bit more loving and kinder to yourself and others. I think that's what I mean.
Yeah, for me it's kind of like, also due to my work with Arjun of the Yahyel and my own channeling work, I got very alert to the idea of separations. Yeah. And in a sense, this would also be labeling and making a separation between people. And I do believe we all have the potential to be very aware and awake. But of course, I understand what you mean. Some people are more living that and grounding that. Yes. And of course, they have then obviously received some insights and have been willing to sit with that and look at that. And some are just not very excited about that idea. And I understand that as well, because maybe these people associate looking at yourself that way as a scary thing, and they're afraid of that. And I think many people who just begin on this journey are afraid to look at the darker parts, especially. Yes. And darker, I don't mean that judgmental either. It's just the things that we have been taught to believe are bad, and that is a label. So as soon as we can stop thinking in terms of labels, what we were taught to believe is true, then we can perhaps look beyond that and see that it was just a mechanism that we have been repeating in order to survive. As simple as that. Because I believe every single human being always does or acts or responds in a way that they believe in that moment is the best possible way they can respond. Even though it doesn't look very pretty, maybe. They're doing what they can,
Absolutely.
So it just shows how much they know at that moment, is possible for them.
I guess so. I guess being on this journey and having interviewed so many people in this, sort of in this field, I suppose what it's done for me is it's just shined a light that you have to be selective of the people that you resonate with.
That's what I'm learning too.
Yeah, right. If in someone's teachings, or what they're saying to you doesn't come from kind of love, or doesn't feel good, or doesn't feel empowerment, or doesn't move you on in a better direction, or just give you more insights. If it's kind of depowering you, or it's not good, whatever is not working for you in their teachings. Every teacher's there's a teacher for everyone, isn't there, in a sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I do also think though that if you're listening to a certain teacher and they're continuously sending out warnings, or the more low frequency kind of energy, I wouldn't say to a person you shouldn't listen to that, because that's me butting into their process perhaps as well.
Yeah.
But I choose to trust that whatever people attract themselves to is what they level with in that moment, obviously. And if that isn't completely fully in integrity to my standard, I just choose to trust that eventually they'll figure that out,
right?
And they can look around and you can offer a different reflection. But if they're not ready for that different reflection, they're not going to use it anyway, and they're free to not use it.
Yeah.
So I'm just choosing to celebrate that everybody is free to live their life in alignment with their own standards, and that's a beautiful thing. We wouldn't all want to be like a copy paste of each other anyway.
No, of course not. No, well, there'd only be one teacher then, wouldn't there?
Yes, exactly. So it's good that there's such a wide variety. But you're so right when you said you have to discern.
Yes.
For yourself. And I'm learning that along this journey for sure, and that's probably what you referred to when you said I changed.
Because as well now you've got so many opportunities coming to you.
Yes,
right?
been gone, Chris.
right. Now there's others out there just getting into this field, right, of offering whatever service they're doing, or whatever they're doing, right, where they're fighting just to get on the ladder.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's different from what they're doing to where... Have you been there, though? Let me ask you that. Have you been on that path?
Well, that's the funny thing, I guess, for me, because first of all, it was never on my bucket list to become a channeler. And you must understand that most of my life, I was really pushing this under the table and hiding it for the world. But I was playing with it in a way that I felt safe to play with it. So my history is... So I've had experiences since I was a child. But for the most part of my life, I didn't feel safe to share vocally. Let's say that I wasn't outspoken on it.
Yeah.
So I did art school, and most of my sharings were in art, in images, which felt very freeing. It was my way of processing and sharing in a way that's playful, and I felt safe to do so. But when the connection became more strong and more underlined, and it really became obvious to me, when Arjun said, my guide, when you're ready, we can actually work together in a much more open way and very direct with people together. We're ready, just let us know when you are, if you want to. So it was an open invitation, but so direct. And I couldn't believe it. And when I started on that journey with them, I learned so much about standing in my own integrity. How do I want to do this? And I only wanted to do this if I could believe that what was happening was a real thing. So I did lots of trial channelings for people, and I was just observing to see what would come through, and if they said to me, that is something, and I was like, no, I could have never known this and that, and I could see that the images that were coming through, it made perfect sense. And then I thought, well, okay, let's give this a try. So since then, and up until now, I've been defining this for myself as an ongoing experiment. So it's been going out of hand, clearly. I'm absolutely loving what I do. But it's a day-by-day journey, and I'm observing it as it unfolds. So when you compare me to people who really badly want that, I don't feel that way. Because I was already living a very free and rich life following my heart, and I'm not even sure if I'm always gonna do this. I'm absolutely, no, it sounds crazy maybe, but I'm very, I'm choosing it in every single moment again to do this, but tomorrow might be a different day, And I realize so strongly that I'm a different person every single moment. So I'm only gonna do it as long as my heart is fully in it. And that, I've always had that very strongly. I only want to do something if I'm completely in alignment with it. So that taught me when a lot of requests became for bigger events and co-creations, to pick really where do I want to be, with whom do I want to work. And I feel very strongly this has taught me to say no to certain people as well, and become very transparent and straightforward. And I must say that's the one thing that I admire most and appreciate most from other people to me as well, in friendships, whatever. If you feel something is going on, tell me, because we can't grow, we can't work together, we can't be together in the same space if something continuously remains under the table. And I guess because such a big part of my life, I was walking on eggshells and keeping this work, this part of me, which is a part of me really, a secret. Now coming out, I feel like I have built up a lot of momentum, a lot of passion towards the idea of having it all out there. So that's the only one way I want to work in, and I'm continuously learning and growing in this journey as well.
Yeah, and everyone's on a different path. So for me to say, you know, why hasn't it worked for some people that are trying so hard? Maybe it's just not their time right now, in a sense. And you know, there's all sorts of other things going on in their life's path, isn't it, to where they're going to get to. But it will break for them if you come from that space of just, you know what you want, you keep walking forward. It takes you can't expect it just to be like that. Do you know what I mean? It's not always. It's when it's ready.
Yeah, there's only divine timing, really.
Exactly. Yeah. And if it's what you love to do, keep doing it.
Yeah, so and the funny thing is, really, it's kind of like the opposite. I see some people like struggle to get like more of this rolling, and I've been challenged by having so much coming to me that I was challenged closing doors and
absolutely. Well, do you
saying no?
Yeah,
that was my challenge. So I attracted the opposite lesson, lots of requests, and then I had to like, oh, wait a minute, but you see, I think this is always going to be a reflection of the theme that we have chosen to explore in this life. So for me, the theme might much more be to do something fully in alignment with my higher self, and learning to say no in certain occasions, and not be, you know, like we are being taught to be such pleasers, basically. And even though something feels off, I'm gonna do it anyway because I feel obligated and I need to do this, and that's how my parents taught me, and otherwise I'm impolite. You know, to listen to your own heart nevertheless. Maybe that was much more my challenge, where somebody else, I don't know what would be your theme. If you really want that and you think you don't have it, well, that's clearly not my
No, and also the type of channels that you would work with, you wouldn't work with everyone. You would only work with people that you resonated with, wouldn't you?
I decided that, yes. Yeah. First I just took all the invitations, and I learned through experience, wait a minute, I want to actually be very specific on this. And the hardest part in that for me was that I judged myself in the beginning of this, and I thought I wasn't allowed to have these preferences because that would be judgmental to others. And then I realized, no, wait a minute, there is a difference between having a preference and judging. I love what everybody's doing. I love that there's a wide variety of voices out there, but it's okay for me to prefer to co-create with one and not with another. So I had to give myself some, some slack on that.
Yeah, no, I really just appreciate you sharing that with people, because that will help others going through something similar as well. So thank you for that.
I'm sure more people are on that edge of exploring what is judgment and what is a preference, and how can I balance it in a good way within myself.
Absolutely.
It's interesting.
It is. And I just wanted to, for people that are going to watch you from your first interview to this interview, there's obviously, that's nice to see that shift in you. Okay, so we've had a really interesting conversation for the documentary. It was pretty deep. it was 2 hours worth of channeling, which obviously is going to be condensed right down. That's so, you know. But there were some amazing things that were said. What were some of the bits for you that really were aha for you that you didn't know before about yourself and the channeling that you're doing?
I loved when you so in the dialogue with Arjun that you had and with your own higher self and how all of that is connected. Which I think is always important for people to understand, that is a circle, it's a circuit, and we're grounding it together. Channeling is never done from one place to another. It's a dance that is connected. I loved when you brought the subject to the idea of the higher dimensional levels. And it was interesting for me to observe that Arjun was very specific on, you wanted to answer your question, you asked what it is like for them to channel layers that are like energetically or dimensionally higher than they are.
Yes.
So you wanted to, I feel their energy as they answer. So there was the excitement to answer you, to share an experience, but there were no words. So that was interesting. And he also said, there are no words in your language for this.
Yeah.
So, of course, there are limitations in that sense to what can be transmitted in vocal words. There simply are limitations to that. Our language is very limited compared to telepathy.
Yeah.
But also there was a bit of holding back because they're very much on the self-empowering aspect. And if they ever have a chance, I noticed, to send you back to yourself, as a matter of speaking, they will. So, and they let me know, so I've been here 2 days, and today in the morning I got this download for myself that, you know, we're all connected to all of the layers. Anyway, we are eventually source. So every single dimensional layer is within us. So if there is a layer above the Yahyel, linearly speaking, we're also connected to that. And he let me know, he said, you don't have to come to us to ask about that layer, because it's within you. And then when I asked, you know, then if we are curious about that, why do we not necessarily have that information right now? He said, which is like common sense. It's not relevant for our exploration as a human being right here, right now. But we may actually pop in and out of those dimensional layers up to very high levels, you could say, if you want to measure them and compare them. Spontaneously or during a spiritual awakening, or certain plant medicines can assist us to get to these points in ourselves. So it's always all there, it's all available. And what I really like about my guides is that they reflect back to us in any given chance they get. The fundamental principle that you are your own creator, this is your reality, you know, it's in your hands. And certain things we don't even have to ask, really.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that and the whole idea of, well, I was actually having a conversation with myself in a sense.
Yeah, they reflected that back to you, and they will always do that. Like, I have that on my website. I say, okay, so I'm facilitating, I'm offering these services, but all of this is eventually a reflection of your own higher self, and I think it's important that people know that. So nothing, again, separation is being created there. Like dependency, like that. I'm not for that.
Dependency is the right word, yeah. So you don't have dependency on them. So, you know, asking them, you know, what's the cure for cancer, or, you know, what's the next evolutionary leap in some sort of idea for technology, right? You know, that would, even if it was a scientist asking them, that would create dependency, wouldn't it? That's why they're not bringing that type of information out if they were even asked for it. But then who knows, if it was coming from a different space, rather than me asking that question, but from someone else's journey, that might be a bit of a different answer, but it would be no codependency. There would be none of that.
Exactly. So that's one thing that Arjun explained yesterday in the session. It was really beautifully put, and something I hadn't thought about before in that way yet. And he also added that if the scientist is on his or her own journey, so it may be more valuable for their theme to discover it through another way. And obviously the most empowering thing is for us to discover again and again, even though we get information from a certain reflection, that on some level we already knew, or that's why it clicks in as truth.
Yes.
Because not really because you hear it for the first time. This is the funny thing that I discovered along the way. It clicks in as true because you kind of remember that is already you. You just never had the words for it. And that's how I discovered that you can also say no or set boundaries or express your preferences without having to feel fear, for instance. You have to like do that first to get familiar with that stronger energy of you that already knows that you can be so much of yourself, that you can take that space. But if we don't try, we're never going to find out. So I think we're always going to be invited by our own higher selves, by other self-empowering mediums, channelers, whatever the universe like brings us as a challenge or an invitation to play with. That there are always again and again comfort zones to be left and boundaries to be moved, conquered, or whatever you want to call it.
Absolutely. And what about the idea that there was an unnameable number of facets of ourselves, of our soul, that split off to have an unnameable amount of existences right now in parallel universes, unnameable, unmanageable number.
Try to number the infinite, really.
Well, yeah,
that's kind of what they explain.
And that came through just about this timeline, not past or future lives.
No, that's
just this one.
But in anything. So that's such a mind blow. It's funny that it went to that, but people would have to see, I think, the dialogue itself to really understand that.
Of course. But that it's there.
That is there. It's in any here and now moment, in any given moment.
Yeah. Has that been coming up for you about this idea that the parallel universe theory that's been coming into your work?
I'm familiar with that. Yes, and I'm completely okay with that. I love that. It makes me excited.
Has it come into your work much? Has that been channeled much through yourself?
Like you mean in verbal conversation, like we had yesterday?
Yeah.
No, that was pretty unique. People usually a conversation doesn't always go that deep and that far. It depends, because people are often more focused on what's very much on the surface in their life right now, like how to deal with a certain circumstance, and to get to know themselves as a character, all of that. And then this more deeper metaphysical exploration, what it is.
Yes.
Is it necessarily relevant for them in that moment? So I can see that usually, and I don't make a how do you say that?
A distinguishment, yeah.
Yeah, between the both, because I believe in every here and now, I mean, our minds and our curiosities will wander to what is relevant for us in that moment, and making a decision between what you're going to do tomorrow or not is just as important as
100%. Yeah.
It is all about being you to the fullest in every single moment, and sometimes this question is just not important.
And I try to bring that back in the interview as well, in the documentary, that when I talked about falling in love and the simple things that I would enjoy, do you know what I mean? That rather than all such deep stuff. But I think even the deep stuff, I'm starting to believe that it does bring you back to present moment.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
So by important, I mean, well, it's simultaneously existing. So in my life, I've become very used to the idea of knowing that everything is no translation available, a miracle.
Yes.
Like that's what it is. You can pick up an object, look at it and go like, wow, the way the molecules are being held together, whatever this is incredible, because I'm creating this as I look at it.
Right.
And that's true. That's a truth in that moment. And on the same hand, you can be like, shall I have coffee or tea? And it's just as magical.
But doesn't it show you how deep you can go as well with this work?
It becomes a constant. So I think at some point, or more for me, because I work with them so much and I get to feel their energy frequency, where there is that constant awareness of everything being a reflection of yourself. You begin to relate to the world differently, more like you would when you practice lucid dreaming,
Yes.
And then you begin to see that through the language of synchronicity, this dimension is as much a dream as is a dream, what we call a dream, which is more close to waking up, actually.
Yeah. So when I got to the point where, am I making this all up?
Right.
Are you my imagination?
That's what you said to
you?
Arjun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was like...
Yes. That's what he said, I think.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, and they were really happy then.
Yeah, super.
When that point was reached. And that's kind of mind-bending. So what does that say just to people watching this now, in the sense of how then do we create the reality we want? Because that must mean then, if that is the case, that we are creating this and creating everything that happens in our lives.
You're creating it on a higher level. You're not creating it with your rational mind. It doesn't have that power, let's say.
Yeah.
So from the higher self level, everything that we perceive to be around us, quote unquote, is projected as like a projection bubble or something. Arjun calls it a hall of mirrors, and we're right in the center with our focus of perception, and we're just like viewing life through, in a sense, and allowing it to flow through ourselves.
Yes.
For the experience of it, and that's what he explains in much clearer words. But eventually, I think I lost your line of thought right now.
No, just that we can create our reality. And then you said that then people may wonder like how do I get what I want or something. Well, that's the thing that they love to remind us of. It's not about what you want, it's about what you need. And so the art of going with the flow is to surrender and to trust that whatever is being projected around you is exactly what you need. So you always have everything you need. It's literally impossible to not have everything you need. Even if what is around you looks like nothing but question marks and insecurity, then that is what you need in order to grow and expand as a soul in that moment. And it's perfect. It's custom tailored for you as a being. So even me doing this documentary, right, and others that couldn't do it, right, this is what I need. Because and that could even be for people that you're going to bump into on the journey as well.
You co-create in that occasion.
Yeah.
You're co-creating all the time. We are co-creating right now.
Yeah.
And you're reflecting to me, as I learned from Arjun, a version of wait a minute. Okay, let me start over. I'm perceiving a version of you that is relevant to my journey. So the way I see you, of course, is colored in by my perception of you, by my persona and my character. And you see me through your eyes, which is another color again, in the spectrum of all that is. So we have our own unique perception of each other, and it will look the way, in a specific way that fits in with what you're learning for yourself. So when we co-create, we with other people, they assist us in our journey.
Yes.
So we can both see something happening on the street and I have entirely different opinions about that.
Yes.
And you will see if it pushes your buttons and it doesn't push mine, or the other way around. The one whose buttons are more pushed is using, in that moment, that scenario more as an activator or a trigger to look at stuff that still wants to be seen. And the one who is more calm about it, obviously, is exploring a different theme. So it's all part of the game, and it's so genius.
It's so genius.
I keep seeing this image of a kaleidoscope. Right, when you turn a kaleidoscope and everything is changing, with the slightest movement, everything is changing. And Arjun keeps sending me that image. He says it's like that, and every change is a total change. So if you tilt it even 0.01 degree, everything in the kaleidoscope has changed. He says it's an entirely new universe. Because you decided to have coffee and not tea, for instance.
Okay, oh right, yeah.
Caffeine-free coffee, organic.
Caffeine, get it right, yeah. So every time you make a change, you've shifted into another reality.
Entirely. Everything. All the people around you, the plants you see, the furniture that you perceive in your house, the nature that you're in, it's all different.
And that's how easy it is. When you create another reality, you shift into that. Unbeknown to you that you've shifted into it, you think you're on the same reality. And again, just remind us, what happens to that old reality? That continues, doesn't it, in some aspect?
In the sense, Arjun keeps saying everything that ever was will always be, everything is infinite. So it remains in its original form in one way, shape.
He had a pretty awesome way of describing it. We're not going to remember here.
No, right I'm not.
No, but it was pretty amazing, actually. And I'm sorry, I know we've not even said who Arjun is, in a sense.
Oh, yes.
But I'm sorry about that, yeah.
Maybe that should have give a very short description?
Very short description, yeah.
Okay, so Arjun is a male member of the society or race that we understand to be a hybrid race, the Yahyel. They used to be known as the Shalanaya in the past. And they're the last race created between those that are understood by us as the Greys and human DNA from, well, more close to this time frame and the recent past. And they're genetically closest to us, and they will be among the first ETs, so it's being said by them that we'll have open contact with us, with humanity in the future, if we choose to be on that frequency.
If we choose to be, we'll get into that.
Yes.
But if they were to give us coordinates where they are right now, we would not. We could go. Well, if we could go there, right? We can't. But if we could, they wouldn't be there, would they?
Because they're fifth dimensional. That's what I had to add. Yeah.
But then, if they're fifth dimensional, how would they make contact with us physically then?
Because we are getting there. We are walking into the fifth dimensionality, and Arjun very clearly shows me. When I asked him, we are so taught to learn thinking boxes, so we would be like, okay, so when is that going to happen exactly? Tell me what day, and they're no, wait, it's like a rainbow. That's always what he says, and colors are merging from one to another. When you look at a rainbow, you see a zillion trillion colors, but you think there's just 7, but he says you're moving from one color into the next, so you're in the bridge phase. And in this bridge phase, some people will move into the next color a little faster than others. Others will remain in this dimension stronger. But when you remember that every reality is an entirely new one, that means that every person is on their own version of Earth, and frequency groups will magnetically and synchronistically be attracted to each other. So you're going to continue to create in your perception of reality the people that are around and about on your wavelength. And this is specifying. So with the shift or ascension or the awakening, what I understand from it now, that splitting, you could say, the differences between resonance can be bigger than ever, and will push you or flow you. Push, I don't mean it in a negative way, but will allow you to go to a deeper experience of that energy frequency. So where first on Earth that wasn't possible, right now Gaia is kind of like splitting in more extreme different versions. Bashar is making this comparison, channeled by Daryl Anka, of the splitting train tracks. And if you want to be on a certain train track, if you have to really act in resonance with your higher self now, because then you're going to be there. And the differences between the train tracks have become bigger over the past few years. So
what I feel in this moment now, God, I can't see disclosure for hundreds of years, maybe until we raise our vibration. Maybe I could change that thinking, and by changing that thinking, actually it would take me to another reality. I'd be in another reality then that has that going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, but because in this reality we're in right now, it would seem
that you're in right now.
That I'm in right now, yeah. That it would seem quite far-fetched that could happen, because we seem to be so low in our vibration on this planet in the majority.
So that would be your belief system.
That would be my belief system right now. When I see Kim Jong-un and others, I think to myself, well, they're playing out their karmic roles really well, right?
Okay.
But I think, what kind of civilized race, spiritually advanced, I'm saying here, would impose their truth onto us when we can't even,
Right. Oh, I understand that line of thought completely.
Yeah.
But so when we realize that the tracks are splitting, but they can still perceive each other right now.
Yes.
So don't be distracted by what you see is really not your frequency. Just, I would say, I have chosen to, when I perceive things like that, to go, okay, well, that's that train track and I can still see it, and that's fine. I mean, that's there for a reason. It's still valid.
Yes.
And valuable, otherwise it wouldn't exist.
Yes.
So I can send my love to it, and
Okay.
I can say these people have other options. I believe in
Yes.
freedom and free will that is there for everybody, to make up your own mind about something. You're still in charge of your own belief systems, no matter what your circumstances look like. So this is what I'm choosing to believe in is true for me. And I believe looking at other people with trust and faith, even if that's just a mindset, I believe in some way, shape or form that helps them to send out that frequency, even though helping them is not my job or responsibility in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. But so if I'm going to shift my thinking on this, and this could be for any subject, we're just using the UFO contact, this could be for the subject of, oh my God, what could I shift my understanding?
World peace.
World peace, yeah, whatever it may be, right? Whatever, something simple, maybe something more, that I
Simple, like
loving
world
myself
peace.
more. Well, world peace within as well as without,
Yes,
right?
it's the same thing.
The same thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, we fight ourselves a lot sometimes, right?
Yeah.
I don't, well, whatever.
It does. Everything starts within.
It does, right?
Yeah.
So I'm changing, I'm shifting then to another reality, unbeknown that I've shifted, but that man, that woman that I was in love with in the reality where I've come from, well, they're still with me in the reality that I'm in now. Their personality seems to be the same, nothing's changed. Or have I shifted to somewhere where the person that I was in love with is not the same person? It's a different consciousness than I'm not. It's everyone's where I shift to.
We're all new persons in every single moment. So you will continue to create, as I understand it, a reflection of that person in every single moment.
A reflection of that same person.
No, so you're a new person every single moment, so are they, and you're gonna receive a reflection of them in every single moment that you entirely change to a new being that fits you. That fits you and your exploration. So maybe what you need to see right now is the reflection of them that makes you wonder whether they have changed or not. And then that's perfect.
But if I've changed, right, and I've shifted over,
Yeah.
am I then with a different aspect of that person that's not the same? It must be the same. It's still them that I'm with, or family members and everything. Do you know what I mean?
Well, this is so interesting because yes, in essence, you could say it's still them, but you're creating that concept as well.
Right.
Of them being them, because it's
Because
I'm
everything's
playing with
one.
this as well. So because I'm getting this more and more on a deeper level, I'm fascinated with humanity. Like what we're doing here is
Right.
absolutely amazing.
Right.
With the whole forgetfulness thing and now remembering. As I understand it, the Yahyel look at us as an entirely new being in every single moment. So you cannot possibly state that you know somebody exactly.
No.
Ever. Because we're all continuously changing. And we're getting to know ourselves also through them.
Well, it's like they say in marriage, isn't it? I married one person, but now 10 years later, it's a different person.
In a sense, yeah. And some of these reflections are going to be more obvious and others not so much. But so I would say when it comes to these world themes like world peace and open contact, for myself, I have decided, like my motto is really anything can happen. Anything can happen. And when my rational mind goes like, yeah, but how? It definitely does that once in a while, like how? I really don't see this like a how. Then I say, well, I value your question marks. I know you're doing your job. That's a good rational mind. Thank you for working for me so beautifully and giving me more nice challenges to ponder. Good job. And then I say, well, now we're gonna let go of this. And my final conclusion, in agreement with my rational mind, because it is okay with me offering this, because I've heard it and I didn't push it away. Mm-hmm. We're agreeing on being okay with anything can happen.
Right.
And then to convince my rational mind a little more, sometimes I play the game like saying stuff like, well, where in my life before have I seen miracles happen? And if you truly pay attention, we've all had miracles in our lives. We've seen people in our family change radically. We have maybe shared a certain thought with people we were afraid to share that with, and their response was incredibly understanding instead of negative or judgmental. And then we felt very free and relieved. Or we took a path that we never thought we would have dared to take 10 years ago, and we're taking it now. All of these things are miracles.
Yes.
And I think the more we recognize the miracles that are already in our lives, the more we can help our rational minds understand that if that is possible, then so many other things are possible that we cannot possibly foresee happening right now. You cannot calculate how that's going to happen. And we don't have to, because that's the beauty. The beauty of life is to be surprised.
Yeah, it is. And why do I even bring these subjects up, you know, of the parallel worlds and the ideas that there's multifacets of us, and, you know, because we're just struggling with the basic stuff sometimes. But I don't know why I do that. I guess I'm a deep diver in one sense, right? I like to look at the possibilities of what's beyond the beyond, yeah? Who's kidding who here, right? But it does lead sometimes to the real deeper answers that actually, you know, maybe I'm answering my own question here, that, you know, actually there's only you in the room. There always was. This is your experience.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, that's difficult, isn't it, for some people?
But so what
difficult for me.
Maybe sometimes I think things are as difficult as we label them to be. But you asking these questions, when you ask me now, why am I asking these questions? So what I see you do is truly following your heart, and by voicing these questions that you genuinely have, and that makes it very powerful actually, you're allowing other people to stretch their minds that far. And that makes you a tremendous giver and a real teacher. Because I think, like, this is why some children are such amazing teachers for us.
Yeah.
Because they ask us the questions that we no longer ask. Why do you do that, mommy? Like, why? And you know, when you shoot infinite whys at stuff, you know what they do at around age 4, 5, 6, you start to ponder yourself, like, yeah, why am I doing this? This is pretty weird. When you truly think about it, when you look at the world as anew, then these are the questions that come up. And I guess everybody who is following their heart, actually asking these things out loud and going into dialogue with channelers and other people to share that search or discovery with the world, brings a beautiful gift. I mean, it's so fun to explore together, is it not?
It is. I'm having, you know, it's been the most beautiful time just recently, having the ability to ask these questions. Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, yes, I've done it on my talk show before, but this one-to-one is something different, right? And people will see that in the documentary, and I'm not trying to plug the documentary doing that, I'm just saying that's the reality of it, right?
Yeah, it will be what it will be.
Yeah, of course it will,
yeah,
of course
yeah.
it will, yeah. Wow, okay. What do you think is the evolution of channeling then? Do you think it's going to go through an evolution? Do you think people... Yes. Because I'm just seeing more and more channelers coming through the woodwork everywhere.
Totally. Yeah, a good question. That was one of my questions in the beginning when I started working with Arjun, like, how's this? And you can't get the full answer right now because it's in process, isn't it? I mean, we are seeing the idea of channeling evolve as we move on through our own exploration. I think I love that more and more people are stepping forth and sharing whatever they're receiving and translating that through their filter. I mean, I'm still a filter, every channel is still a filter, but we're all offering, facilitating little puzzle pieces of a broader perspective, which can help the expansion of the whole.
Yeah.
If people resonate with this information at all, and they should decide that for themselves. The evolution of that, I think, I'm putting out there a vision of the future for myself, where people begin to understand what channeling really is in a broader perspective.
Yeah.
To see that we are already all channeling our persona self, and once you understand that puts a whole lot of other stuff in perspective too, when you realize that you recreate that in every single here and now. that we are infinite beings and connected to the entire universe, and we can connect to other layers and other dimensions.
So empowering, isn't it?
It's very empowering, and it's very relaxing. I like it takes the load of being just as one person.
Right.
Which is such an illusion, you know.
Right.
So, and it brings flow back into our lives.
Yes.
It brings me a lot of ease. Thinking of it that way and surrendering to that, trusting in that. I mean, it's all good, you know, it's fine. We're being carried. This is so beautiful. And channeling that kind of awareness will bring such a broader perspective to humanity. And I think the word channeling eventually might even fall by the wayside because...
Receiving?
I don't know, being.
Being?
Yeah, are we not
being a
all...
soul, having a human experience, but it's the soul that you're channeling, isn't it? Yeah.
For now, I really like the word because to me it implies a focused connection with another entity. So that's really So of course you're channeling your higher self always, and everything that you channel through comes through your higher self. There's no other way.
But it's also true, isn't it, that if you want to find any answers, then you can channel your higher self, and it will have all the answers there.
Because that's what connects you to all the other layers.
Exactly.
That's the hub. It's always going to be the hub.
So when you're connected to Arjun, you're connecting through your higher self.
Always, there's no other way. He showed me this is the only way because, there's no other way.
But that's yes. But you could channel if you had any questions yourself and you didn't want to speak to Arjun. Could you just speak to your higher self and it would be just as wise?
That's a good question. I do, of course, obviously. And the funny thing is, I might get an answer that still comes from him, but I will never know. So what we call our higher selves...
Where's the free will in that? I suppose there is.
Yes, because it doesn't matter where it comes from, the information.
Self-reflection back to self.
He let me know, if you understand that eventually everything is yourself,
right,
then your whole life, our whole lives, every human being have been having moments of inspiration. And we said, wow, why didn't I think of that before? And we think, I've had this epiphany, I've had this insight. And you had it because you were able to receive it, to allow it in on this level.
Yeah.
But even though it came through your higher self, it may have been an offering from a guide, and you may never know. And that is the beauty, because guides are not after recognition. They don't care. It's just about the universe bringing answers where they need to be, when they need to be there. So you're going to get it. It doesn't matter from who. And when you don't care anymore yourself, where it's actually coming from,
right,
then you're just focused on recognizing truth, then you will always be able to pick what serves you most in any given moment and use that. But that will be an ongoing journey as well. Because you can pick one thing one day and one thing the other, and then discover the second thing was better for you.
Your truth will keep changing as well.
Exactly.
Which is the evolution of climbing the frequency ladders of going up and up and up.
At some point we will stop pinpointing and identifying or wanting to identify, because it's all equal.
I guess I never got to ask some questions maybe I did, I can't remember what was said in some parts of it, but at our current understanding of spirituality, is there a new version of spirituality? But I kind of did ask that in the sense of there is seismic information wanting to come through, in a sense, that hasn't come through yet, because they've connected to higher levels. We do in our dreams and stuff. We've said this before, we don't remember this higher level stuff right now because we're not at that level to need to know it. Because
exactly, it's not relevant right now.
But there is something much more.
There's always more.
Much more.
It doesn't end. It really doesn't.
So this idea of where we think we go to, it could
or
be,
not.
Or not.
No, because you're just here.
Because,
and you will always be.
Yeah. It was this was a difficult part of accepting some truth yesterday, my truth, that I'm not ready, because otherwise the answer would have come through them.
Yes, they were measuring very carefully whether the question was a dependent question or something they could share from their joyful point of view.
Yes.
And so they gave you,
yes, I got to experience that. No. That's why it got pretty much profound yesterday at the end of it. It was pretty deep, it was actually.
I'm happy you liked it.
And I'm happy it did for you as well, because that's what's, because again, this isn't a journey just for a documentary. I think it's much more than that. It's even if it's helping you on your journey as well.
Of course it is.
And the other people.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's not it's never what it appears to be on the front.
No.
You think it is, but it's not.
Well, maybe I stopped thinking
No,
that.
you did. Right?
Well, as much as I can.
Yeah.
Because I do catch myself, of course,
Yeah.
like everybody else,
Cool.
almost on a daily basis. Oh, okay, I had like, I was putting a picture on this again. And you just can't. You have to let go of that, you have to let go of that. And it's beautiful. I love being invited to be even more bold, more transparent, more blunt,
Yes.
more direct, more open. This is my preference, this is not. And it's beautiful, and I can be this.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you? Yeah. I mean, there was part of me that wanted to say as well, because I know we're almost at the end here. There's so much we could talk about. We've got to close this off shortly. There's this thing in me of wanting to bring channelers together. That wanting on this journey now I've taken it to create a platform, which they're already out there. Actually, there are platforms with teaching the information from all sorts of from all channelers. But I don't know. I just feel that I want to create something. That I don't know what this is. That and I don't know even what this calling is. But it's almost like a platform to bring us together. That together we're stronger than apart. But then, it's almost like saying, but everyone will resonate with different teachings. The teachings that they should. But I don't know. Maybe the channeling genre in its in its entirety. That's what I'm talking about, rather than different teachings. But the whole thing of channeling. With even spirituality has its own recognized churches. There's the Church of Spirituality. Well, what they call the Spiritualist Union. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and of course there's all the religions out there as well. I'm not
There's
saying
so many paths. Yeah.
I'm not saying make channeling a religion, but I'm saying, what is the way to get this information more up to mainstream? Or maybe you'd answer that and saying, well, if people are wanting to come to us, they will find us. Yeah.
I think this saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and then also channeling, or the idea of that may not be the teacher for everyone. I don't think anyone can miss out.
Oh, good point. Channeling is our way of our waking up.
It's just one way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It could be another ways to be a life coach, or to be
totally, of course.
or whatever kind of union they come under,
or work with music or whatever. People
could you even wake up through religion?
Yes, of course. I mean, every path
with restrictions.
I would say, in a funny way, yes, because in my own life I have learned a lot from restrictions. This is a beautiful full circle. We come back to the beginning.
Yeah, we have.
Because what I see right now, challenges or restrictions actually can help us open our minds. And the resistance that we feel that triggers us to say no to it or to choose a different way, that's the gift in a restriction. So yes, a very restrictive religion can push a person into an awakening or a bigger awareness of the all that is. I believe that. So there's really no facet in the world, or in what I perceive to be the universe, it cannot assist us on our journey, no matter what it looks like. So, and that's beautiful, because that also means that nothing is depending on just one thing. I mean, that would be a crazy load to carry on your shoulders if you had that responsibility with just one medium. Yes. Or tool or technique.
Well, we know what happened there when some of those ideas did happen like that.
And that's why they're bound. I mean, well, in my perspective, at some point, when you raise your frequency to a certain height of living your joy and following your heart, I feel that these more restrictive and rigid things will appear to crumble and fall by the wayside, because they will have served their function, and then they can go. And also because we don't fight them within ourselves anymore. It has validity. It can exist. It's fine, but it's no longer needed. It's just no longer relevant.
So true. Wow, okay, well, we've kind of come full circle there. I wish we could have talked for more. You've got to get your plane back.
Yes, I do.
To Amsterdam, right? And I'm conscious of that as well. And
thank you.
I really just going to say, just to end this off, that I've met good people, and you're one of them. I don't need to say that, right? But what I mean by that as well is that it's nice to meet people who have gone through their own shit and come out the other side.
Love how you put that, yes.
Yeah, or shift, I could say shift, right?
It's equal.
Yeah. And come out the other side and have come into their truth. And it just, when that's happened, because people, you can help so many people and yourself. You're always trying to help yourself and others in a sense of just the wise information that's given. Well, maybe it's because I just see you from the perspective of it feels right what you say, and that's why I'm resonating with you. And I like that, because it's like, this makes so much sense, but you've had to go through it to get to the point where you're at.
Yeah, and it's fun.
Yeah, and that's not taking it's not taking away anyone that's struggling right now, because even that's beautiful as well.
Exactly,
right?
exactly,
Yeah,
and they're free to see the fun in that at some point, perhaps.
There is.
Yes.
I would say there is. Deep down, they wouldn't be doing it otherwise.
I love the biggest challenges in my life to call them, wow, wasn't it exciting? It was so exciting. I'm really getting to the point where, also Arjun, that he is often being compared with Bashar as well.
Yes, he is.
It is not the exact same energy, but it is similar, and this is one of the things that they say a lot, and everything is exciting right now. I agree. And we can all choose to look at life that way if we want to as well.
Absolutely. So listen, Wieteke, your website's been coming up on the screen.
Okay. Awesome.
And I'm sure at some point, again, our paths will cross. And just thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for doing this beautiful work and following your heart, Kevin. It's been such a blessing.
Thank you.
Thank you.